So, who are you and what is your story?
Yes, so my name is Kacy Dennis. I'm currently the CEO of the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Big Bend. I've had the pleasure of being a part of that movement for the past 19 years. I've worked my way up from, club director, played many different roles within the organization, to now currently, the CEO. But man, I tell you, this is the absolute joy, one of the biggest joys in my life. I truly enjoy what I do, impacting the lives of kids, thousands of kids, each year, man. It's a big honor that I don't take lightly.
Yeah, absolutely. And working your way up, I feel like adds to that feeling of like I'm doing what I love to do. And that when you work your way up from the bottom, it really brings to light whether or not you like something or not.
Yeah, definitely.
To be where you are now, that's awesome. That's really cool.
Thank you.
And to have the impact on the amount of people you do is really awesome. With that being said, I'm sure we could sit here and have an entire talk on all the great things you have done. But everyone faces adversity, personal to them, unique to that person. My adversities are different than yours, but that doesn't mean yours are less than mine, right?
Exactly.
And I think that's a big thing we preach here. So I'm just curious, are you willing, can you tell us a story of an adversity that you may have faced that wasn't fun in the moment, but maybe made you who you are today, made you realize that this is a passion of yours?
Definitely. What I can say, so my father, he was in the Army, did a tour in Vietnam. He was a gunner in a Huey helicopter. At that time, the life expectancy of someone in the Huey as a gunner was like 2 weeks. My dad did, 18 months in Vietnam. He came back with no visible wounds or scarring, but he had a significant drug problem when he came back from Vietnam. So him and my mom met. Had, of course, I'm the oldest of three siblings, and my dad continued with a horrific drug problem for most of my life. And I'm 47 now, and I can say he's been clean for 2 years. So it's been a long haul. I remember nights with, sitting in my living room. I can remember this vividly. Sitting in my living room, waiting for my father to come home. You can see the lights of the cars kind of going down the road. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, maybe that's dad, or maybe that's dad. And it just never was, or whatever. And just those nights of just worrying about where he was, and just seeing how upset it made my mom, and just knowing, the worries about, how we're going to pay the light bill or the rent or this, that, and the other. It was always just horrific during those spells. And my dad was a functioning drug addict, so he had a job. We lived in a middle class home. We were the only African American family in the neighborhood that we lived in. But our family had this issue that we never really talked about. It wasn't cool to let people know or to ask for help. But there was one person in my life, outside of my mom. My mom was terrific. She did all that she could. But I can remember on those nights I was telling you about, when I'm, counting the cars, the lights going by, wishing and praying this my dad, and it never was. And I fall asleep on the couch. And that next morning I hear basketball, down a couple of houses down, and I said, okay, wow, Gannon's home, Gannon's up. So I go down there, and him and I, play a game of hoops. He's about 6 or 7 years older than I am. Him and I play a game of hoops. Gannon's father owned a plant nursery, so that's where I got my first job. Gannon's father was also a master carpenter, contractor. So I learned just various skills and trades or whatever, all with, my connection with Gannon and his family and things like that. And so Gannon was a tremendous mentor in my life. And funny thing is, he doesn't look anything like me. He's a Caucasian guy that loves country music, and him and I are really close to this day. Actually, he sent me a text right before I came here about, what's going on in the world or whatever. So Gannon's mentorship really is why I'm here right now. I know without that, and with all the problems that, my dad, faced with, and my family and everything, I would not be the CEO or where I am now or successful as I am now without that influence. And so in high school, I thought I was going to either be a rapper or a civil engineer or a basketball player. None of those things happened. But in college, I realized that I really wanted to, work with kids. I got my first job in Boys Town, and I said, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. And
Giving
then,
back.
yeah, giving back. And then coming to Boys and Girls Club, just having the opportunity to mentor other kids, kids that were just like me, kids that you didn't know on the outside, they looked fine, man. They were, you would think they had the perfect homes, the perfect backgrounds, but man, they had all kinds of stuff going on. And that was what really, kept me going, because, once you get to know those kids and they open up a little bit and they let you know, hey, this is happening. Another little story, a guy that used to work at Gold's Gym. He came up to me and he was like, Mr. Kacy, you being at Boys and Girls Club, really helped save my life. My mom had this going on, and we had all these different issues that I never would have known about or whatever. But it really reminded me of what I went through as a kid, and that's what what really keeps me going. To have that opportunity to just impact the life of a child, and it's all about that positive relationship with a caring adult.
A lot of the things you just said, I can relate to extremely. They resonate with me very much so. My dad is 3 or 4 years sober now, and had a drug and alcohol problem for my entire life, and I had no idea. So, and that's where the difference is my parents did everything they could, including my father, to shelter me from that. They never wanted me to see it, and then it got to a point where I had to. It was that the straw that broke the camel's back, and it was that was the moment that my dad knew he had to get better. So I resonate massively. Some differences. I'm the youngest versus you being the oldest, but it's an extremely powerful thing. And I was having a conversation with a friend yesterday, ironically, and whenever I talk about this, have conversations with people, I never want them to feel uncomfortable about it, because the only reason I'm talking about it is because I'm proud of my dad, proud of him being sober. That's why I'm able to talk about it. To me, I'm bragging about my dad in ways, because I know where he was. I saw it, and I didn't see it as deeply as my mother, but I saw it, and I never want to see it again. And so because of that, I can relate very much so. And it's a lot easier to talk about when they're healthy, they're sober, and it's a disease. It's a real disease, and if you don't realize that, they're just like, what? I just stop. It's never that easy at all. So that's an extremely powerful story that I don't know if you saw my I was trying to hide it with my reaction. It's just like, wow, like, holy cow, like I get this. And like, especially now that I'm older, I'm at that point in my life where I realized that the people that had visually perfect lives in my hometown that I grew up with, had problems just like my family.
Exactly.
And it's a crazy realization the older you get to realize that, but it makes you realize that we're all the same. You and I look very different, and yet we are still sitting here relating on a life story that you and I both share, and they cross paths pretty directly. And again, another place I can relate. It's kind of weird how correlated these stories were. Having a role model, I think, is huge. My dad was a huge role model for me. Don't get me wrong; he's my best friend to this day. But if it wasn't for high school band and the people I met in high school band, they're my best friends to this day. They'll be at my wedding.
Right.
I don't know where I'd be. I don't know where I'd be. And so, like that whole story I can relate to. So, thank you for sharing that. Most importantly, but
Problem.
two, I know that a situation like that gives you a whole new perspective on life, and changes the way you view things, for good or worse, for some. And I'm just curious as to how that situation has made you who you are today.
Um, Definitely. Just to kind of piggyback off what you said earlier, uh, I'm 47 years old, and I have just started to tell this story, now in the last couple of years that my dad has been clean, and it just makes it, just like you said, it makes it a lot easier.
Oh yeah.
That he's doing better. I've always been proud of him. Like I said, he was, definitely a, functioning addict. So I had his good days and things like that. But, um, I'm sorry, what was the question again?
No worries. So,
Yeah.
how did that situation make you who you are today?
Definitely. So, to have the role model of, Gannon Kinsey in my life really changed and shaped me to be, the man I am today. Like I said, my mom, dad, I went to Florida State University School. Go Noles, exactly. Go Noles. So my class, 93, we're the first of the Seminoles. Back in my days, we were actually on FSU's campus, and we were the Demons in those days. So my mom did everything she could to put us in the best schools and all of that. But just having that constant role model in my life of Gannon Kinsey just really helped to shape me to be who I am right now. Gannon took out time to help me with, like I said earlier, I wanted to be a basketball player, so him and I would, practice all the time. He was at all of my games, and just was a tremendous asset in my life. Just a lot of his skills. He was a tremendous with woodworking and things like that. He taught me how to, back in those days, I must admit I was one of those guys riding around in the car with the loud music and whatever. But there's actually a science behind, how you build those boxes and things like that. And so Gannon showed me how you can take something that you want to do that's fun or whatever and turn that in and see the science and things behind that, things like that. So just a tremendous asset in my life and tremendous person I look up to the day. Gannon had his issues. He dropped out of high school, but he went on to be a master mathematician, and is doing well, these days. So it's just an awesome feeling to have somebody that's, has always been, always had your back. And like I said, him and I didn't, we don't look alike at all. He's close to my age, and just made a tremendous impact in my life, for sure.
I think that's the beauty in it, right? It's the fact that you said the age gap was 6 years?
About 6 or 7 years.
So
yeah.
In middle school, high school, that's the age gap between me and my brother.
Mm-hmm.
My brother's 18 and I'm 12. Feels like we're not even in the same generation.
Right.
When I'm 22 and he's 28, that age gap has shrunk massively, and we're friends now.
Yeah.
Like we'll go out and have a drink, And so I think that age gap shrinks, but it's the beauty in it is the fact that you guys look nothing alike.
Right.
But yet you guys just care about each other and care about seeing each other succeed. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things about life is finding those people. Gannon could be the only person in your life like that. For some people, they only have that one person. Some people don't have that person at the moment. Some people have 5 of those people. But having that person that wants to see you succeed, is happy to see you succeed, I think, is so important. So important.